James's position, because I've been reading. Me and Gonzo have been reading that one book that critiques Sailor James's position a bit. But I'm interested in reading it. Oh, it's only a bit of okay. All right, let's get started. Part 5, 112. Of course, during wartime and the time of our struggle, we have to avoid every species of luxury, finery, and theatricality. I'm trying it. Theatrically. It's theatrically. No, it says quickly. I didn't say quickly.
At a fast rate, without any delay, or in a short time. It's used to describe actions done rapidly.
Theatricality? Oh, it's theatricality, which means behavior, appearance, or a style that is exaggerated, dramatic, artificial, or is a typically intended to attract attention or create a specific emotion and effect. Theatricality. And we have to be capable of properly saving and distributing with the justice of little that we have for our people. The depositories, so that the greatest possible number of people can benefit from the advantage that our party created. And right now we have to prepare. He's talking to his own party, by the way, the party that of the I forgot what they're called, but they'll show up. And right now we have to prepare our plans for our lands, economy, and independence. It's not only tomorrow that we should do it, but right now, all of us. The party has to properly know the concrete possibilities of our land in every sector of the economy, and to prepare plans consciously and even based on science for the development of our land. If we were not capable of this and concretely establishing our path to be able to advance in our land, of concretely establishing an economic politics for our land, then we are dying, growing tired, being wounded, and ruining our life for nothing, because we aren't capable, as I promised you, of extracting the necessary yield to make our people progress, and after many sacrifices of this war. Today, like tomorrow, we should orient our work in the sphere of economic resistance along these lines, increase our land production, and improve the production more each day. We must be capable of extracting from every piece of land the maximum that it can give. We should economize, which means to increase our gains and to reduce our expenditures. It's something that costs a lot for the comrades to get. Even today, when our party has practically no revenue unless we sell some cola nuts and some lizards or crocodile skins. Our party has participated. Our party has practically no revenue. Our comrades don't have the least caution to, or pay the least attention to the fact that they shouldn't spend much. Everything that's given to the comrades to spend passes through their hands, as though it were the water of the cabal of Gabon River. These are rivers, yeah. We're going to spend, of course, and this won't stop, especially on things of great importance to us, such as ammunition. Many arms are ruined through carelessness, and much ammunition has been lost from carelessness and overspending. Who's in here? No idea. Okay. But that we understand is a new experience in the context of our lands, new wars, and we can omit certain difficulties and certain deficiencies. But for other things, like gasoline, medicine, even rice, for those areas that provide rice, the following occurs, as you comrades well know. A group of combatants has to bring rice to eat because in the area where they're located, such as the border zones, there are no possibilities for getting rice from the population. So while we have rice now, and provide rice for 2 months, Suddenly, all the rice has already been eaten in 20 days. But is this possible since we have no revenue? Well, we must stop this. We must stop with this, comrades. Another important aspect, obviously related to our economic context, is the issue of transportation. Today, it's difficult to discuss this problem because we are in the middle of a war, and we destroy the enemy economy, destroying roads. And it would have been good where we have to destroy even the enemy's possibilities of moving about on the roads and in the rivers of our land. But we still don't destroy everything. On the one hand, this is good for us. On the other hand, this is bad for us because if we wanted to develop our economy in certain areas, we can't do this since we have no roads. We don't have time to tar roads, etc. But right now, we should think about this impeding problem for our lands. And we have to seriously think about the advantages of defending the means of fluvial transportation. This means transportation via river, because our land in Guinea is rich with canals and waterways for the disposal of our products and for creating new such possibilities tomorrow. At the same time, we want to create possibilities that guarantee a link between the Bajogos Islands and the islands of Cape Verde. Because, who's this? Hold on. I think Lind accidentally, I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Okay, yeah. Because the land can only really advance if its networks are like the circulation of blood within the human body. The system of transportation and communication is an important for a country to advance as our blood vessels, arteries, etc. in the human body. We have to think about this from today onward, and we think about it this year. That doesn't mean that even now we shouldn't do what is possible to guarantee the means of transportation. Our party has done the most it can to have cars and boats to bring provisions to our people. Perhaps we're the only case of a struggle for liberation in which boats provide for some areas of the land. Our party has been capable of guaranteeing this, despite all the difficulties, despite all of the carelessness our comrades have with our material. But in our land, particularly in Guinea, where we are already at war, we should also be capable of guaranteeing the means of transportation. Can we not do this with roads? We have many rivers, and we guarantee and build canoes. The Tagu is well aware of this, and it's his greatest task to break our canoes. But we should be firmly resilient. First of all, we aren't going to let the Tagus break our canoes. We're going to hide them. The ones that we use rather for transportation, transporting our material, or for transporting the goods of our personnel. We're going to properly use them and hide them. Unfortunately, when many of our comrades travel by river in canoes, they leave them right where the Tagu himself can grab them and break them. There are 1,000 ways to hide a canoe, but if by bad luck the Tagus break out our canoes, we should get people to construct canoes, choosing people familiar with woodworking to do so. In Bo, for example, we never lacked canoes. Why? Because we gave address one task to make canoes. But during this struggle, in certain areas where the Tagus break canoes, it has happened. Rather than arranging for other canoes, some comrades, not all, but fortunately, send us telegrams. Cabral, the Tagus broke the canoes. What can I do if he is the leader? He is there and he manages the population and combatants. Why doesn't he arrange the people to make canoes? Many comrades think that we have to arrange for boats, and we in fact do this. But boats can't solve this problem because we are not going to buy boats to station all over. We made an effort to arrange for outboard motors in some areas, and we still have outboard motors today. But the truth is that we, in some areas, like Quantafine, for example, the comrades blew out the motors completely in a few days. Myself left and went to Guinea to buy new motors, but they all blew out in less than a month because the comrades want to play with them rather than use them only at the necessary moments. And the comrades don't give any importance to the simple rule, which is the following: to use a motor, it's necessary to mix gasoline with oil. But no, if there's no oil, they use gasoline and head off because we want to go for a ride. That, comrades, is our life and our life's misfortunes from the economic point of view. Afterward, they say that there are two provisions because there's no way to transport things. This can't be. Another means of transportation that we could utilize a lot in this war is bicycles. Use it like the Vietnamese. While our land may have certain conditions, perhaps more difficult, our lands nevertheless greatly resemble Vietnam. We started experimenting. We directed comrades to transport things via bicycle. But all the bicycles completely broke in a few days. Still, others stopped in the middle of the path, put the bicycle on their head, and carried it like this. Why? Because they are not using it, not used to it. They said it is really difficult to pull a bicycle, but other peoples have proven by experience that a bicycle that is fixed up works well. He has sticks to hold up the load can carry 250 kilos. A man can hardly carry 20 kilos. He could furnish areas of our land, many areas, with bicycles alone. Of course, it's difficult sometimes. It's necessary to traverse rivers, flooded places, etc. But we can ride bicycles. If we give a bicycle to a comrade to go, for example, from the border to Kumbukare, he can go by bicycle. But if he goes with a load, it's difficult, and that is the problem. The bicycle could be a magnificent means in our land, but it was necessary that our vanguard comrades, the most enlightened, provided an example of this main firm and show what is possible so that we can initiate and imitate the Vietnamese people who are able to carry great distances by bicycles alone until they beat the enemy. I remember, for example, a great act accomplished by our comrades in the south of our land. We wanted to carry heavy arms to Kumbukare and Tambala. There was a lot of difficulty lugging arms heavier than 15 kilos. The comrades constructed a raft on the Balana River and came to the border looking for arms to bring. That shows that when we're willing, when we in fact decide to do something, we're capable. We are thus able to do great things. The Farming River has been blocked countless times, but the comrades are capable of breaking and passing through because it is necessary to do so. Because a comrade leader appeared and said, quote, let's go. Forward, hold tight. But unfortunately, not all comrades are of this sort. Such comrades are necessary for the responsibility and the needs that we have on the path of moving our struggle forward. This problem of transportation is an issue to which we have to call the attention of our comrades many times. No one can think that the party management is going to send trucks to the land's interior. There are parts of our land in which we've already entered by truck, but this was a very special circumstances. It must be the party leaders who are able to resolve the transportation problem. It's incredible For instance, how two sectors of the Eastern Front can sometimes be without ammunition, but no other sector makes an effort to bring them ammunition. For example, there is ammunition, great quantities in certain areas, and there are only difficulties with ammunitions because the comrades don't get up to go help the others to resolve this problem. Even with the issue of rice, in some areas rice abounds. In others, there is little, but bringing rice over there is difficult because they don't put their heads together to find a solution to resolve this. Sometimes they do this, yes, and it's proof of what we are always capable of doing. If only we want to. It's a matter of willpower, dedication, interest, and thought to be transformed into action on the path of better serving our party. In order to advance, sometimes it's yes, but hold on. Sometimes they do this, yes, and it's proof that what we're doing, what we're always capable of doing, if only we want to. It's a matter of willpower, dedication, interest, and thought to be transformed into action on the path of better serving our party. In order to advance with our struggles in the context of economic resistance, we should avoid excessively overburdening our people so they don't think that our party also wants to exploit them. We always give our comrades watchwords, not to abuse the goods, chickens, or cows of our people. If one were to give something, we accept it, but we shouldn't demand anything or take anything by force. Not even this has been well respected at all times. We should always be aware that those who try to exploit our people are criminal, favorable to the Tagas, enemies of our people, and enemies of our party. In these cases, it's necessary to know with clarity with who committed acts against our people, in order that they be convicted, or even, if necessary, shot, whether this be a party head or a leader. Our comrades have made a concerted effort to avoid abuses against our people. The party directors and leaders have made a concerted effort to avoid this. But we have to be completely finished with all the abuses of our land. We have to remove the excessive burden on our people, and we have to show them that we will never, not once, do them harm. Furthermore, we have to encourage finding ways of compensating with praises, rewards, and decorations. The people of our land who produce more, we want the following in our land tomorrow. The names of only those persons who produce more we praise. Whoever produces more rice in our land, whether a person, a family, or a cooperative, those are our land's best people, whose names should be elevated with reward. This goes for whoever produces more peanuts, more palm oil, etc., comrades. And we should find firmly chastise those who don't work, chastise those who don't work to produce what is necessary in our land in the context of our economic resistance. Of course, we have other very important problems for our future, such as developing and stabilizing our land's market, developing the greatest exchange with other countries, and establishing, therefore, an entire system of foreign commerce. We have to thoroughly study the problems of prices in our land. Sometimes we're in this struggle and we think that it's only about killing Tagas, fighting and reclaiming the land. The biggest problem are still in front of us, comrades. We have to know who will direct our land regarding the issues of commerce in our land. Commerce is still in the hands of the Tagas, and even in portion and exportation. Okay, importation and exportation are in their hands. That has to be clearly established in our land tomorrow. Our party has to be capable of defining that clearly in order to avoid confusion. From the outset, we must break with every future tendencies to exploit our people. And right now, we have to avoid all the wrong ideas in the context of our economic resistance. One great error that we have committed in our land until today is the following: that no one pays taxes until we were liberated. This is an error. We should be able, after liberating an area like Kambakare, for example, to immediately establish what sort of tax the people should pay. Though not even know that even being in money, the taxes could be in nature, as they say, which means in products or produce, so that our people don't lose the habit of paying taxes, so that they don't think that when we claim our land, then there won't be taxes. No land whatsoever can advance without paying taxes. That was an error, but it was necessary. It was a necessary error given our mentality, which was still not seriously nationalist. We still don't have serious national consciousness. And in our land's context, if at the same time that we liberate Kabirakar, we collect taxes, perhaps the population would still side with the Tagas. This is why we committed that error. But we have to enlighten the people, telling them clearly, as we have always, as a matter of fact, done, that they don't pay taxes now, but tomorrow they'll have to pay them. A large part of our people know this, have already comprehended it well. If we should explain, we should just explain to them that the tax they are going to pay tomorrow is not like that of the Tagus, neither in its basis, which means regarding the criterion of normal establishment for the payment of taxes, nor in its purpose, which means for what the tax service is. Taxes in our land have to serve to constantly elevate our people's standards of living in an economic, social, and cultural spheres. We should always proceed with plans if we, in fact, want to win our economic resistance, which is against the Tagas today and against underdevelopment and backwardness tomorrow. We should be realistically familiar with the conditions of our land in Guinea and Cape Verde in order to make concrete plans in advancing the development of our land. We shouldn't proceed like one who enters a dark room, stumbling over everything, knocking over furniture, hitting one's head against the wall, without knowing what one is doing. That's very important for our victory tomorrow and the spheres of our economic resistance, comrades. Right now, we should avoid, like tomorrow, the disillusion and grandiose plans. We should do what is possible in every phase of our life, and we should know how to do it well. We should combat all those who remember with crossed arms today, just as tomorrow everyone who is able must work in our land. Whoever doesn't work doesn't have rights to anything in our land. It has to be like this. Those who have value work. Those who are without value are so because they won't work. And the best are those who work most. It has to be thus in our land, and should be thus in our struggle. In the actual daily life of our party, we should move those comrades who work the most to the front, and everyone should be certain of the following: whoever worked a lot yesterday has value and moved to the front. Whoever stops working because they already worked a lot yesterday isn't worth anything, was never worth anything. I always repeat, in our party work, everyone is like the stem of a banana tree. Every year, one must provide new bananas. Don't think that because a new stem was provided last year that we're all set. No, they are all able to provide more stems. Every stem of the banana tree that yields fruit has to be cut because it's necessary for it to provide another stem, another plant, for yielding more fruit. It's like this in the life of our party. No one thinks that it's possible to sleep in the shade of another worked yesterday. There are various comrades within the party who, because they work a lot in the mobilization, because they worked a lot in the first guerrilla phase, because they worked a lot with provisions at a certain time, because they were good guerrilla or army directors, etc. Drawbacks and shy away from the arranging of military maneuvers so that they don't have to work much. They pass through life at a standstill, hidden in the base or often even outside the land's borders. It can't be like this, comrades. No one gains anything in our party if we stop constantly working, offering more sacrifice and showing more willpower and decisiveness in our party. Another grave thing in our party and in our struggle is the following. A few comrades who were wounded were still quite competent. The majority were still quite competent, thank God. We thank God, but it's also thanks to our party of 500 wounded comrades, for example. More than 450 to 480 were competent and so can return to fight. But there is a tendency today, comrades, which is the following. I'm wounded and now I'm going to make a big deal of my injury in order to stop fighting. I just arrived in Zangunachur. I had good luck in arriving in Kokiri. I didn't die. I was wounded a bit. Now I am done fighting. No, comrades, this is demobilization and desertion. In any country where the people are aware, in any struggle in which the combatants are aware, taking a beating to lead to more courage, fighting with still more willpower, because they will not defend their cause, to which they firmly dedicate themselves. But they also have to make the enemy pay for the wrongs they've done. In other countries, where our combatants with legs cut off who request special legs in order to return to fighting again. I have a visibility thing. Yay, visibility thing. Come on, thank you. In other countries, there are political commissars, for example, who in the middle of a war are injured in the arm, and the doctor says that they have to rest 6 months for their arm to heal. They ask for their arm to be cut off, since this will allow them to be healed in 15 days and be able to continue fighting. This is because a political commissar only needs his head. He can work even without his arms. In our land, there are political commissars who, if they have the good luck of injuring a finger, find a pretext for stopping, for not continuing any longer. Fortunately, comrades, the majority of our people aren't like this. Fortunately, there are many comrades who have bullets in their bodies, who are sticking it out in our work, and who we sometimes have to convince to leave and fight. There are comrades who have already been wounded 3 or 4 times, who are sticking it out in the struggle every day with more enthusiasm, with more courage. Those are the owners of our party, comrades. Those are the true children of our people. Those are truly the owners of our land's future. Those are the new directors. And I tell them in particular, comrades, you're my strength. A few of you are seated here. Are you all of our strength? And our what? The repost is because there's a restriction right now. You can't post it when it has a restriction. And you're the ones who justify all the sacrifices we make in order to move forward. There are comrades who are already wounded. For example, one who is not here, Comrade Kimo. Without having been cured yet, And when there was an attack, he returned to go attack. Isn't this right, comrades? We sent him to Europe to be treated, and his only desire was to return quickly. And in fact, on the day in which I went to that land to see him, by chance he was in the airport to come back directly to the forest without asking for anything or discussing anything, because there are others that, when they're wounded or sick, find an immediate occasion to demand things from the party. They ask, for example, that the party pay them. Those comrades who, in fact, demand nothing, providing sacrifice, their strength, their energies. Those comrades aren't only waging an armed or political struggle, but also greatly assisting our economic resistance in the face of the enemy, who we want to destroy economically. We want to really avoid all needless waste, that is, wasting time, wasting things that we can save. We should avoid that, particularly with food. Even, for example, in the school, in the home, in other places, a lot of food or rice remains, and other people come looking for the remainder in order to raise pigs. This is because we don't make the effort to sufficiently measure the rice that arrives from the comrades in order to save it for our party. The comrades in Kakari, or in the Zengonachor, can't say these words correctly, sorry everybody, that use cars make excessive trips when it is possible to resolve their problems with only a few trips. In addition, there are those who have to make trips and can go at the same time with another person, but refuse to even hide themselves to go later. They don't know that only wears on our cars, wastes gasoline, and creates problems for other party. In our economic troublemaking, every form of troublemaking, theft, corruption, and corrupt persons who take advantage of opportunities to rob so much money that the party puts in their hands for administrating a home, a boarding school, or any other thing. For example, they gather cows and take them to be sent abroad for sale. That's a form of theft as well. We should combat this with force, comrades. We should elevate the respect and consideration for those comrades who do this day and in this party have not been capable of doing anything of the sort. On the contrary, they have maintained their clean behavior and sought to help others to remain clean as well. We Africans are famous for our underdevelopment, of which there is no one to whom ultimately responsibly is given our means, money, and other things who doesn't in turn rob. And the things that have in fact happened in independent African countries arouse great fear in us. But things that have also happened even with some of our very own comrades that frightens us greatly, comrades. We should remind the comrades, leaders, and combatants that it's also stealing when, for example, we rightly take things from the enemy in the war, but don't talk to the people in the villages about the things taken. Rightly taking things from the enemy in war, but hiding them, keeping them. That is not just. That's robbery. And to begin doing the work of thieves. Our combatants are honest people, seriously, decent, dignified, and our people's best children. So when our combatants grab a watch or bracelet, a gold necklace, or any other thing taken from the enemy, he should show it to the boss. Let him deal with it and not keep it. This is because if he does otherwise, he isn't yet a combatant for the liberation of his land, but a highway robber. A few comrades didn't understand this. They didn't understand when they bring something dangling on their chest that was taken from some village or from some encounter with the enemy, the extent of their disrepute in the face of those in the party. who are serious. Many comrades didn't understand this, but it is a matter of disgrace for them. Even watches, of course. If an individual grabs a watch in a war, it's for him, but he first has to show the boss, who will later tell him he can keep it. And if he already has a watch and wants to keep the other, he should pass the first to a comrade who doesn't have one. But no, there are comrades who take things and keep quiet, and thus they show that their consciousness isn't understood, the value of their work, the very sacrifice they are making. He places his value below the value of some watch, though tomorrow he could have as many as he honestly wanted. We have to combat all this, comrades. In our economic sphere, as in other spheres, we have to combat tendencies towards extremism. For example, when a comrade says, we're going to give our people forced labor. No, comrades, we're not going to compel the people by force to cultivate this or that thing. No, that might work, but we don't want it. We don't want extremism. That's a misunderstanding of our struggles, present and future, and even in the farming, in our future, in the planning of our life tomorrow. We have to avoid all extremism, all exaggerations. Let me make sure. Exaggerate. I can't say these words. I always mess this word up. I probably said it right. I'm double checking.
Exaggeration.
I was right. Exaggerations. Above all manner of too many progressives. For example, there can be comrades right now who put the problem in the following way. Quote, in our land, agriculture is something backwards. Everyone wants to leave agriculture behind. England developed, though few people worked in agriculture. France advanced to the extent that it reduced its farmers and increased its industries. We see that countries advance by heavy industry. Therefore, after independence, we in Ghana, Guinea, and Cape Verde should work only in industry and cease. Oh my gosh. We should also be in Cape Verde, we should work and increase industries and cease with agriculture. We should also be vigilant in avoiding those errors contrary to these. There are those who think, quote, we should leave our land as it is now because it's good like this. We're Africans. We're Africans. We should have our own mediators. People who work the land, people who work in commerce, etc. Because it's thus that we're good Africans. Thank you. Good Africans with our traditions, of our customs. You can probably repost now. The Balantans growing rice, the Fulas growing peanuts, and the Fulepis growing rice, the Manajekobs growing peanuts, rice, and other things, and the Bajogos collecting coconuts, and Cape Verdeans producing corn until they die of hunger when there's none left. None of this. This is the opposite extremism. In today's terms, what I said first can be called the left's deviance, and what I said now is a right deviance. This doesn't mean that the middle is better. There are many people who deem that the middle is good, but this isn't true. What is good is knowing how to join things from one side and the other in order to move forward. Joining things from one side and the other and seeking the just path in a land doesn't mean staying in the middle. One can't do anything in the middle, but that's a more complicated discussion to which we will return on another occasion. Thus, we have to be in the sphere of our economic resistance, as in other spheres. moving beyond our weaknesses and continually elevating all of our forces. We must combat our weaknesses to elevate our forces. This is our discussion for today about our resistance in the economic sphere. End of the chapter. Any questions? Chapter 5. No questions. All right. Cultural resistance. Yeah, win chapter. We have to remember that it's not enough to produce, to have a full stomach, to practice sound politics, and to make war. If a man, a woman, a human being does all of this without advancing as an intelligent being, as a foremost being in nature, without truly feeling every day that knowledge of the environment and of the world in general increases in one's head without, that is, advancing in the cultural sphere, then all that one does, producing, practicing, sound politics, fighting, hasn't worked at all. Our specific, wow, they got blocked. Wild. In our specific situation, we have to give great attention to our cultural resistance. From the beginning, our party has given great attention to this, and in this sense, it took the necessary measures from the Cossack Congress onward. While even before this, we had advised that in order to advance in our struggle, we should make cultural resistance. Actually, we should state concretely that the creation of our own party, which planned the advanced our struggles in national liberation, is a fact of culture. It's a clear test of our cultural resistance, because we want to be ourselves, Africans from Guinea and Cape Verde, and not Tagas. Our culture isn't the culture of the Tagas, Tugas. Although today our culture might have some influence from the culture of Tagas. Thus, all of our combatants, leaders, and cognitive militants should know clearly that our struggle is also cultural resistance, if not the primary mode of our cultural resistance armed struggle. We should work a lot to extinguish colonial culture in our heads, comrades. And whether we like it or not, in the cities or in the forest, colonialism asserts a lot of things in our heads. And our task should be to remove what isn't useful and to leave what is good. This is because colonialism doesn't only have things that are useless. Therefore, we should be capable of combating colonial culture and leaving in our heads that aspect of human scientific culture that the Tagus brought by chance to our land and also placed on our heads. To give a concrete example, I am African, and it could happen, as it still does with our Africans, that I convince myself in order for certain things to occur in my life, that it would be necessary to satisfy the will of the Spirit. And the Spirit said that what I asked for in the conversation could only be realized if I take a little girl who just turned 3 years old as a alms to kill, to make a sacrifice, and then all I want what could be realized. That still exists in Africa, and if we look closely, people who believe in such things might still exist in our land. I remember a comrade named Alafonsi, who we sent for the struggle in Gabon. You remember Lukuyo. One day he found him to tell me that the spirit of Gambu didn't want us to fight there unless his sons was sacrificed. I interpreted this in the following manner. He was a native of Gabu, 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 and looking for a way to be in charge, because he wanted to be the chief of Gabu. And so he wanted to show that the spirit, quote unquote, was interested in his son, thus that he should be the boss. I told him, comrade, if that's how we're going to struggle in Gabu, let's go look for that spirit until we find it and kill it, because it's a spirit from the Tagus, and that the Tagus who put it there is not from the land, our land. But it could be. I'm gonna look this up real quick. I don't think it's gonna define it. Let me see something here real quick. I think they're gonna tell me like a business or some shit. It's a nickname for a Portuguese person in the country. Okay. But it could be that I, as an African, still have this in my head. Hold on. Jesus Christ. At this very moment, while I'm speaking like this, in some lands of Africa, there are children who are dead in order to satisfy the will of the spirit. I never had such a thing in my head. I grew up in Africa, but I learned the following: the most wonderful, delicate thing in the world are children. We should give to children the best that we have. We should educate them so that they're raised with an open spirit, so that they understand things, so that they're good, and so that they avoid every type of evil. So we should never do them any harm at all, much less kill them. Thus, I have an obligation to defend my land against all those people who have the aspect of culture stuck in their heads. But as an African, I also had much contact with the Tagus, and it's possible that I have gotten it into my head that I am the son of civilized folks, and I am civilized. I went to school. I never lived in the forest, which is filthy, and that I had a reasonable home, even though, oh my gosh, yes, I'm a real person. Even though my mother was poor, I could have thought that I had nothing to do with the people in the forest. Okay, yes, you appealed me. Gosh, it's like nonstop telling me shit. People in the forest, and those of the forest were distant brothers, and that I was superior to them. This is a colonial mentality. It's a copy of the mentality of the Tagus and the colonialist. We have to combat this, whether in my head or in anyone else's head. I gave you concrete example, therefore, of what we should preserve from our contact with other realities, and what we should eliminate from the contact of our own reality. So the comrades have already understood that our culture resistance consists of the following. While we liquidate the colonial culture and the negative aspects of our own culture in our spirit, in our midst, we have to create a new culture, also based on the traditions, but respecting everything that the world has won today for serving the people. There are many people today who think that in order for Africa to resist culturally, it's always necessary to do the same thing that have already been done for 500 to 1,000 years. Damn, they're just coming in, huh? Yes, Africa, in fact, has its own culture, and that is our precise opinion. Some aspects of that culture are internal. Even they never end. They can transform along the way, but will never run dry. For example, our type of dance, our own rhythm of Africa. But no, one thinks that the drums is only from Africa. No one thinks that certain styles of clothing, straw shirts, palm leaves, etc. are only from Africa. No one thinks that eating by hand only happens in Africa. All of the world's peoples going through this, and there are still peoples in the world, in Brazil, for example, who are worse off than us in this, as in Indonesia, Polynesia, and Eastern Asia. Many people think that in order to defend African culture, in order to resist culturally in Africa, we have to defend the negative things of our culture. No, in our opinion, that is not the case. Rather, culture is also the product of people's economic level. Our opinions is that eating by hand manners of dancing and even singing certain types of tunes depends on the life led by the people from the point of view of producing, i.e. producing riches, producing things for them. He's saying that culture comes from and arises from the material base, from the laboring in the economic spheres, develops the culture. That is why Blanton's tunes are different from the Mandinga's tunes. For example, analyzing thoroughly, the Balantes tunes are those of people from the plains. When we compare the Bantan's tunes with those of Europe, we see that they're similar to Alatenciono tunes, slow in chorus. This is because there are certain types of economic existence and geographical environments that give rise to certain types of songs. The people who live in the mountains have certain types of songs. Those who always live with cattle have their types of dance. Those who live alone in the forest without cattle have yet another type of dance. Those who live in the desert, where there are giraffes and other things, have another type of dance. This is the case whether in Africa, in Asia, or in America. Yeah, finally, right? And our type of relations with nature is like our economy, our economic development. Whoever believes that the cow is a god raises it up when he or she dances. The dance itself presents the cow as God. But whoever believes that God is hidden in the forest has a dance that respects the forest. And the songs evoke the special kind of music with the special words in regards to this. This is illustrated in every part of the world where there is such a concrete economic situation and a given situation of relations with nature. Those who are still afraid of lightning, floods, and thunder have songs and dances that are of a certain type. There might be one or another difference, but they're similar. Of course, if we compare our dances with the dances of Europe, of the cities, etc., we see that they are dissimilar and that they're ultra-modern dances. But if we compare our dances with the folklore, that is, with the arts and customs of Eastern European peoples, or even more, with those of Asia, we find a few dances that are very similar to ours comrades. So our point of view is that we should make resistance in our culture in order to conserve. That is, in fact, useful and constructive. But in the certainty that to the extent that we move forward, our clothing, our manners of eating, our manner of dancing and singing, and everything else has to change bit by bit. This is even more the case in regard to our minds, our sense of relationship with nature, and even our relationship with each other. For example, we Africans are in a situation such that we need security because we still have not tamed nature. So we need what is called organizational security. Organizational security is better than the number of the people who are near us. If I were alone in the woods, I would be afraid, so being there with various peoples would be better. But that organizational security has a contradiction, which is that some don't even trust those who are around them. There is such a great need for security that we always need someone together with us. But as security isn't guaranteed and is so great, one begins to distrust those who are with us. Now this happens in our midst, even with a person in whom we trust. Yesterday we trust her, but today, when she comes to give us a hand, we do trust that hand. One gives them a hand, but always without trust. There are still those who go right away to wash their hands for fear of something bad. Some even distrust others' eyes. And there are people among us who always take advantage of this in order to stare into our eyes. Like Locono, for example, strong, violent, no, valent, truant, sometimes a leader of our home during the time that we prepared. There was a poor man laying down in Cockery, who, like the Moors at the time, had a wild idea of going off with the opportunists. The truth is that he was bad news, and Lukashino was afraid of him. He only wanted to hit him. One day, this man came to the edges of our home, and Lukashino, I can't say his name, went towards him, messing with him, etc. This man took out his set of animal horns, pointed them at Lucando, and yelled, "Ah!" And Lucando returned later, now afraid of animal horns. Comrades, we laugh about this now, but many of the comrades who were seated here are still afraid of animal horns. Today we laugh and are afraid. Don't think that when the children of Sano Vincentine arrived with their delusions, or when those of Para or Cape Verdean woods arrive, that they aren't afraid of Moors. For instance, once when I got sick, my mother took me to a Moor because she thought that perhaps someone had done evil to me. Fear of card reading, fear of hair. They make amulets of hair to cast off evil. But we're certain that in our land tomorrow, the children of our people in Guinea, Cape Verde, in the woods, will no longer be afraid of animal horns. First and foremost, horns are something rich in calcium that grow on the heads of certain animals, comrades. If we burn them, they will have a special aroma as a result of protein and other chemical products that they have. Animal horns don't do anything. But as much as I yell today, no one hears me. I don't believe you all. That's why I'm not going to go to the trouble of fighting you on this. I only tell you to hold tight in the struggle and to work a lot, because the children of our children won't believe in that if we in fact complete our duties in relations to our people as we should. Even the Swedes, those two you saw, the fathers and their fathers, also believed in animal horns. And in our land, the ancient Swedish form of burial, thus the same as the manner of the burying people in our land today. The manner of burying kings in the times of ancient Sweden was the same as burying of our kings too. They went into the graves, which all of their things, and at times their wives, killed to place in the same grave. The Vikings, who were the ancestors of the Swedes, didn't go into battle without an amulet. One day when we were in Cuba, Osvandalo and I were sitting down to watch a film about Vikings on television. I enjoyed seeing films about Vikings, and Azovelado was up for it. Suddenly the warriors appeared in Osvaldo, said, "Hey comrade, they have their own period of wearing amulets." Well, of course, no one thinks that we Africans know a lot, or that we can only wage war because we have amulets. The Vikings like to use amulets. The Franks, comrades, the people of ancient France, fought against Caesar of Rome, everywhere, only with amulets. Likewise, with the ancient English and the American indigenous people. In China, Mao Zedong had the great task of ending issues with amulets. Even today, sorcery in China hasn't ended. There are ethnic groups in China that have sorcery. If you read the works of the Vietnamese, you will see that sorcery exists in Vietnam as well. One of the great Vietnamese leaders said that they had to accept their people's amulets in order to lead the struggle. With those who scratch their heads, we also have to think before we do anything with them. We participated in ceremonies with them, but with the certainty that it was wrong. We only needed to engage such things rationally to avoid misfortunes. No one thinks that they're better than others because these things exist among us, because we're Africans, or because we know of amulets that others don't know about. They knew of these things, but have since forgotten. Like our garb of dancing. Everyone in the world uses garb for dancing, and there are those who still use it all over. Bobas and the Guyana style garb are similar to garbs in Rome. You see films about Romans, and their clothes are called togos. But togos are clothes like any other, sandals and garbs, nothing more. But today, there are people who walk in garbs, as if in fact only Africa had garbs, as if it were only Africa that knew about such clothes. It's a reflection of the state of economic development, nothing else. It's good that, and it's ours, but we're not now going to think that it's only ours. A day will come when the children of our children's children will have to forget all that. Unfortunately, we may not live long enough to be able to see it. Like today, we will see things like the Vikings. We think that they were wild. We don't understand that the Vikings lived their own life and in a different time. They never took a step without consulting a sorcerer first. The king always went around with the sorcerer at his side. In ancient times, before going into combat, the Romans would open the stomach of a chicken to see if the time was right to make war or not. There were even people called augurs, who the chiefs consulted in order to know if they could go to war or not. In ancient Greece, which was the center of world civilization, there were sorcerers who lived in the mountains called Pythosis. Let me see what this word says. See if they'll let me say it. We're gonna find out. You love the new reading? Sweet. Cadence? What do you mean by cadence? Great, another thing. Like, I guess I'm reading good. I hope I'm reading good. I'm trying. Pythonnesses. Oh my gosh, it's not up high enough. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Pythonesses. Female soothsayers, or women who practice divination, who were consulted to know the destiny of war, of persons, etc. And the people brought them offerings because God was within them. It's like our spirits of Kobona, comrades, but that was 3,000 years ago in Greece. Even more so in Egypt. In ancient Egypt, all of the pharaohs had their sorcerers and God as an ox, Apis, who was untouchable because the cow was sacred. And in India, even today, they don't eat cows in India. There are people who died of hunger in front of their cow because they can't kill it, because the cow is God. They bring the cow to the river to wash it, and everyone enters the water with the cow in order to battle themselves in the water of God. Bathe. Sorry, not battle, bathe. We have to have a good grasp on this in order to forge our culture resistance on that real basis of our culture resistance. We should clean our land of every noxious influence of colonial culture, comrades, and the first act of culture that we in our land is the following: the unity of our people, the necessity of fighting and developing in every one of us a new idea, which is patriotism. and the love of our land as a single entity. That is the first part of culture that we should give to our land. We should demonstrate the value of resisting the enemy, the stranger of our land. We pull together our forces in order to not allow our people, our land's children, to be stepped on, humiliated by other people. Understanding clearly that we in our land have rights equal to those of any other people in their own land. That's a great advancement of our culture. If we manage to do it, and we will do it before long, our own war will accomplish this in our land. Moreover, comrades, we have to elevate in the spirit of each above all in the spirit of every combatant, in value of heroism, in order to be capable of having courage and rigorously fulfill the words of the party. If it is necessary to kill the enemy, in giving location, to go kill him oneself, that is culture, comrades. When a man is capable of doing that, he is in fact cultured. And to the extent that a group of men such as those here who find themselves before a given reality are capable of uniting together as if they were a single man whose men are very cultured. Consider this, for example, our Mandinga population, for example, has many feuds between themselves and talk a lot. Some are wild enough to think of themselves as better than others, pushing and pulling, robbing, until some say that when the Mandingas say one thing, they are thinking exactly the opposite. That's why it seems to be a divided population. But in a culture act, such as praying, they themselves they seem to be a single person. In other ethnic groups, for example, coming before a spirit is pointless. For example, if we say the following to the Balanta and the Manjako, listen, Babu is a good guy. He'll later say that he's a friend of baboons, and repeat the same thing to others. Some believe him and others don't. But if we say that a spirit of Kabana says such a thing, even if they were in the Soviet Union or any other place, everyone believes Mandingas, Manchuas, and Papas, and Balantas. Everyone. You see, therefore, how facing a cultural situation of people is capable of joining together, even being a people as divided as our people were. This is why when we say that we're capable of joining together to resist our enemy, we're increasing our culture. This is also a proof that we in fact have culture, and we have to be capable as a party, as a political organization, to continually raise in the spirit of our people in Ghana and Guinea and Cape Verde this concrete idea. The only child of our land is the one who is patriotic. And moreover, in this phase of our struggle, he who has a love for our party. That is culture in our land today. It's not fundamental in our culture today to teach reading and writing or to make it to second grade. That's also necessary. We already spoke of it. What is fundamental is to really learn what our party wants, what we want, and what we're searching for, what we're doing, what our struggles is, and where we're going. This is what's important, comrades, to be capable of giving one's life. Whoever is capable of giving their life for the party without asking for anything, sure, that person is now cultured in our land. In the face of this struggle, we can compare, for example, diverse races in Guinea in order to see which is more cultured or less cultured. Sometimes those who know more about certain things appear to be less cultured. In whichever Menin and Nembana, they're in middle of the forest, who hangs in there with their works, is more cultured than the Alvergeni, who are any other well-educated persons who continues to follow the Tagus. This is because the former correspondence of that relations, a man in society and a man of relations to nature that serves the interests of his people in order to gain a greater standard of living tomorrow. This is culture, comrades. It's to really understand the concrete situation of one's land to transform it into the direction of progress. We should instill place in the spirit of everyone and certainty of our victory. That is a culture act as well, comrades. For everyone to hold on to not give up at all, to not despair in the face of any defeat, because there is no struggle that don't have defeats. In our struggle there are also defeats, but that's a part of struggle. That's why it's a struggle. But we should continually elevate the trust in our victory. We should do everything to dishearten the enemy and dishearten the enemy's agents, to show them that there is no way they will certainly lose. Oh, no way they will certainly lose. That is culture, comrades. What do we got? 40. This is a great... and on the basis of the love of our land and for our people, on the basis of the love of our party, we should develop our dances, our tunes, our types of music, do theater, and even acrobatic impressions of other peoples, etc. For example, when we imitate the colonialists, Mr. So-and-so, etc. That's important. We should develop all of that in the service of our struggle, in the service of our case today, with a content, that is to say, with new facts of words. This is a great value, for example, of the tunes of the Balantes and the Bafedas and the Mandingas, Creoles, Mancuchas, Papels, and others, or of the Mornas or the Calorenderas, that they already made on the basis of our struggle, raising up our party and the name of our courageous combatants, singing of our weapons, battles, attacks against Tagu plains, etc., showing the long path of our people in this war. That is our culture. What we should develop today? In line with this, we should, of course, advance in order to open the minds of our people in relations to literature, science, etc. This is because we know that it's not the illiterate who came to make a good land. It's necessary to have people who can read and write. All of those people who know how to read and write should teach those who don't know. Much time has passed since our party issued this watchword, and much time has passed since our party began to create schools, to improve preparation of professors, to form frameworks so that we can advance along the path of scientific knowledge, of life, and of the world. Rather, our new culture is in or outside of school. We have to place it in the service of our resistance, in the service of compliance with our party program. That is to be that way, comrades. Our culture should be developed at a national level of our land, but without disparaging or considering as lesser the culture of others, and with intelligence, availing ourselves of culture of others. Everything insofar as it's good for us. Everything insofar as it can be adapted to our living conditions. Our culture should be developed on the basis of science. It should be scientific, which is to say, not involved believing imaginary things. Tomorrow, our culture should avoid instances where anyone of us thinks that lightning is a sign that God has become enraged, or that a thunderstorm is the sky's voice when furious, spirit speaking. In our culture tomorrow, everyone should know that while we dance, when there are thunderstorms, and thunderstorms occur when two clouds clash, when one is positive electrical charge and another with a negative electrical charge, And when they clash, they cause a flash, which is lightning, and the noise, which is the thunder. As when one grips two electrical wires, positive and negative, and touches one to the other, there is a flash. That's what lightning in the sky is. Electricity in the clouds. The noise that is called thunder is the meeting of two clouds. There is so much the case that given the speed of sound in air, when one hears a thunderstorm, one can calculate where one cloud meets another, because light moves faster than sound. Watch for lightning. A bit after a bit, you hear a noise. If it were, for example, 5 seconds, you can calculate where the two clouds meet and how far from us, because the speed of sound in the air is 140 meters per second. So if in the moment that one sees lightning, one begins to count by the seconds. For example, by multiplying 5 by 340, one gets 1,700 meters. That is to say, it was at a distance of 1,700 meters from where we are that the two clouds met and caused the thunderstorm and lightning. A thunderbolt is nothing more than an electric spark, which due to the special conditions comes down to earth, and which can come with enough force to destroy a bit. Just as, by the way, we can make anything explode indoors with an electric current, or when we see it strike with less force, enter some place, happening that, and then disappear. This can happen to a human body, which disappears into the ground because the earth is so electrically charged. Just as opposite electric charges can produce sparks. This is why they put lightning rods on top of houses in order for the lightning bolt to enter there and pass directly into the ground without doing any harm. Comrades, we have to base our culture on science. We have to rid our culture of everything insofar as it is anti-scientific. If not yet today, then tomorrow. But if we work well today, we have the certainty that tomorrow that will be possible. Our culture has to be popular, which is to say, culture of the masses. Everyone has the right to culture. Everyone, moreover, we respect those cultures' values of other people that deserve to be respected. Our culture cannot be for an elite, for a group of persons who know a lot, who knows things. No, all the children in our land, in Guinea and Cape Verde, must have the right to advance culturally, to participate in our culture acts, and to demonstrate, and to create culture. We should place the comparative situation of the city and the countryside deeply within our spirit. We should note that while day by day foreign customs develop in our cities, some good, others bad, ours general tendency is to take advantage of the bad ones. Alcoholism, prostitution, banditry, scams, assaults, robberies of any certain type, etc. Life is more pure in our forests, although by that I don't want to say that there might not be people who steal, but there is a great difference between a thief in Bissau and a blatant thief who steal wherever else. In general, the blatant thief steals after the colonialists came, so already with colonialist influence, but he steals in general without interest in keeping what he stole. That which interests him is an act of stealing. This is the very reason why he often robs something, gives it to another, and never sees that thing again. Because in Balanti customs, pilfering is a sport to demonstrate one's ability, one's intelligence. If I have glasses, I guard them well. When another person thinks like this, I'll play around with him until I'm able to snatch them without his notice. That person has demonstrated that he has a great capacity, more than my own, a capacity to trick me. That's the significance of Valentine robbery. To steal as an intellectual exercise, as an exercise of physical and intellectual capacity, without any interest of possessing that was stolen. This is the reason why when young Valentine reaches the moment of celebrating his passage to an adulthood, he can count the number of robberies he performed in order to show his value and abilities. And the great men load this are happy, treating him as if he were their son, because his is a person of higher caliber. Robberies in the cities, no. Robberies in the cities, no. The thief from the city steals in order to allow his people to eat, or so that he might enrich himself. Aside from this, there are other types of thieves in businesses that are legal theft. We should know how to compare our forests with our cities in order to avoid all the impurities of the city coming from the forest, and to direct all the purities that can exist in our forest to our cities. I repeat that this doesn't mean that there aren't likely bad things in the forest. There are a lot of bad things, even issues of sacrifice, of beating children, etc. The manner in which they beat children in our land is hideous. Oh my gosh, stop rejecting me. You've proven and proved it. We have to combat that as well. We can't set out from our principle that the forest is pure. That has nothing bad about it. That the cities alone is bad. No, there are bad things and good things as much in the city as in the forest only. Comparatively, the cities is less pure than the forest, and we have to make our countryside progress more each day, as much in the culture sphere as in other spheres. From today on, comrades, we have to develop as an entire people of combatants, as militants, and as populations in this consciousness. When a human being is laboring at something, he should do it well, perfectly and quickly as possible, and in the simplest possible way. Hold on a second. 135, just real quick. Just gonna look ahead. 135. Yeah, this is another thing I have to, find another stopping point. Oh my gosh, restriction visibility again? You guys already approved so much. Jesus. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a stopping point, because the next stopping point is 146. All right. We should develop our spirit and the ideal of perfection in the spirit of our people. We still don't have a very good sense of perfection. Look at that certain. There isn't one comrade who would be capable of seeing that and lifting it to set it straight. It's not a problem for us if a nail that's put in the wall or clothes that are made remain crooked. We don't have a good ideal of perfection. We have to combat the spirit and infuse in our people the spirit of perfection. I don't agree with perfection, sorry, but that's on him. A comrade who went abroad for preparation, or who already had sufficient knowledge, knows how to launch an ambush. He should put such a weapon in such a location, another weapon in such a location, so many men there, so many over there, so many on reserve, etc., attacking the enemy at such a point. How much comrades do that? How many? When they do it? Well, the result is extraordinary, but the comrades in general don't remember that. This is as true as an ambush is going to regions where one must speak. In a meeting, a comrade has to speak, but without taking any appointments at all. He's just there in preparation. He can have recourse to a lot of conversations, but he has to study a bit. to remember things. Today, there is a meeting with such a village, and it's necessary to sit down and to think about the problems with that village, taking the necessary notes. He is his political commissar. The party trusts him, and he is the party in that moment. He shouldn't converse just for the sake of conversing. It's necessary to study, which doesn't mean preparing a whole speech. It's not worth it to give a whole speech to other people in the forest. At times it is worth it, but it's necessary to take notes on all the problems and to think about all of the problems that they are going to discuss. This is very important. We need to detail. We need to deal with meetings of leaders in which everyone wants to go to the meeting, but nobody knows what they're going to do there. Other times, they hold a meeting in the following ways. Various leaders meet in the north and in the south of our land in order to decide what? The watchword of our party. There are comrades who send me meeting reports, and when they leave to see that the others decided, there are things already in the party, watchwords, that they don't read. But on top of this, they made fewer and worse decisions than already made. When a meeting of a leader is held, it's in order to deal with the following. To what extent have we already accomplished the party's watchwords? Take notes and discuss. Or if one or another problem emerges, the interregional committee takes note beforehand to discuss it. I'm going to go ahead and stop here, because there is no stopping point, and I'm not good at finding stopping points, so this feels like a good stopping point. So I like it how he said that culture needs to be scientific. It doesn't need to be put on other things. I'll get there. Hold on a second. I'm still 136. But I do like how he talked about how culture needs to be scientifically based, and that like we need to accept other people's culture too, in a sense. You know what I mean? So I like that, but I do agree with him that culture is ever flowing. It's never stagnant. Culture develops and creates new types of interrelations. You know what I mean? So like I get that. Like, yeah, culture, we need to be more scientific. You know what I mean? So, and he made examples of like the cow being God and someone like dying of hunger. You know what I mean? You know, and like it just wasn't, you know, it was based in that. So I was like, dude, I'm sorry, but like maybe you should eat the cow. I'm sorry. I know. But like I like that, how he said that. Yeah, no wonder, thank you. So yeah, I enjoyed that part. You know, still a lot more to go in the culture of resistance. The next one, let's find out. So I have to go to 46. The next one is going to be armed resistance. So we're going to go to armed resistance next. So we're doing culture resistance. So, but I do like that. That was one of the things that stood out to me, that he's demanding a culture of science. Because we're going to develop a proletarian culture. We're going to create a proletarian science. Yeah, culture always changes, whether it's immediate or little by little. It still changes. It's never the same. It's like the water is never the same. You know what I mean? It's always shifting and moving and ever flowing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with that. So that's why I think the scientific nature of things needs to happen, because we need to look more towards science and develop a science separate from the bourgeois science that is afforded on to us. Yeah, but thank you everybody for showing up. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Thank you, Dutch. Thank you. I don't think I have any coins. I have 0 coins. I'm so sorry, Yusuf.